Hi, my name is Aaron Shiborowski, and this is my research project, The Relation of Analytic and Synthetic Attentional Strategies, supervised by Dr. Raymond Dye. Perceptual weights give us a measure of the attentional strategies individuals use in analyzing complex sounds. Analytic strategies and synthetic strategies have long been established as two opposing but primary modes of parsing sonic information. However, their relationship has not been fully explored. In this study, participants completed two experimental procedures. One procedure followed an analytic listening design where participants made a decision about the change in loudness of a single component within a sonic complex of three components across two intervals. The other procedure followed a synthetic listening design, where participants made a decision about the change in loudness of the whole complex across two intervals. Perceptual weights were extracted from the data gathered using a correlation of each component's level and that individual's response. This was used by Lutfi in his 1995 paper and Richard and Zhu in their 1994 paper. The perceptual weights were then analyzed using root mean square about the ideal with a weighting strategy for each condition. While individuals had variation in their weighting patterns in the analytic task, a general trend emerged of individuals weighting the components in the synthetic task close to the ideal weighting pattern. The variation present in weighting patterns in the synthetic task could be partly explained by how closely to ideal an individual applies analytical weights. Analyses of these data revealed that analytic listeners performed better on synthetic listening tasks than listeners with a purely synthetic listening strategy. As mentioned, perceptual weighting patterns give insight into how different individuals attend to the many parts of a complex sonic scene and how they integrate this information to make decisions about their environment. Generally, with regards to listening and sound, attention can be divided into two broad categories, analytic and synthetic. An analytic listening strategy would aim to parse each sonic component of a scene and make decisions based off of the information gained from the analysis of each part. On the other hand, a synthetic listening strategy takes in all of the available sonic information and makes decisions based on the whole sound picture rather than the parts. Both strategies have their place and appropriate application, as much past research has shown their exclusivity. However, what has not received much attention from the scientific community is the relationship between these two attentional modes, particularly in how individuals may switch between these two strategies. Post hoc analyses of previous investigations that looked at both analytic and synthetic strategies revealed conflicting results in terms of the direction of the relationship. Analysis of a Stelmach et al. Paper and a Willingantz et al. Paper, companion piece, showed that better performance on analytical tasks translated to worse performance on synthetic tasks. However, analysis of a Dye, Stelmach, and Gerson paper from 2005 showed that better performance on analytical tasks did indeed correlate with better performance on synthetic tasks. The present study sought to explore this relationship further and determine if indeed individuals with an analytic strategy performed better on synthetic listening tasks than individuals that perform well only on synthetic listening tasks. We performed two experiments in this research project. The first was an analytical listening task following a two-interval forced choice design. Participants were first presented with a cue stimulus containing the to-be-judged frequency component, that is the target frequency, always at 57 decibels. The following two intervals presented a complex of all three components, 253 Hz, 1012 Hz, and 4048 Hz. Each with a level difference from 57 decibels, randomly chosen from a standard distribution with a mean of 0 decibels and a standard deviation of 4 decibels. Participants were tasked with judging whether the target frequency was louder in the first or the second interval. The second experiment was the synthetic listening task. This task used a similar procedure and the same set of stimuli as used in the analytical task, but with some changes to cue and the to-be-made judgment. Participants were cued with the entire three-tone complex first, with each component at 57 decibels. The following two intervals varied the level of each component, and participants were asked to determine in which interval the entire three-tone complex was louder. Participants performed approximately 100 practice trials in each condition, with the 253 Hz target, a 1012 Hz target, 4048 Hz target, and the synthetic task as well. A follow-up session was then scheduled with each participant to perform 200 data collection trials in each condition. Participants' performance was first recorded as proportion correct. These data were then used to generate perceptual weights for each participant by correlating on a trial-by-trial basis the participant's response with the level difference that was applied to each component, as used by Lutfi and Richards and Zhu. These perceptual weights were then finally used to generate RMS values for each participant for both their analytical performance and synthetic performance across all three trial conditions. RMS has been used previously as a measure of performance, comparing an individual's deviation from the ideal, used in previous studies by Stelmach and Willengans. The perceptual weights obtained from each participant represent each participant's individual attentional strategy. As you'll see on the graphs in the following slides, these perceptual weighting functions varied highly between participants. Some participants were able to produce properly weighted functions, as can be seen in the bottom two graphs, while other participants had their own individual attentional strategies, weighting each component differently across trials. In terms of proportion correct varied for all participants between about 44% and 76% across all trials and across all conditions. Within the analytical task, proportion correct was found to be lowest in the 1012 Hz case, with a median proportion correct of 54%, while proportion correct was highest in the 4048 Hz case, with a median of 69%. In the synthetic task, proportion correct was just above chance for all participants, with a median proportion correct of 54%. However, weighting functions across many participants was close to ideal, leading to very little variance in the RMS about ideal for the synthetic case. The RMS about ideal values for participants' analytical data varied between 0.34 and 0.64, while RMS about ideal for the synthetic case varied from 0.005 and 0.045, a much smaller range of variance. A correlation between these data were performed with an R-squared of 0.56. Further, a two-tailed t-test revealed that participants with perceptual weights closer to ideal on analytical tasks had perceptual weights closer to ideal on synthetic tasks. The goal of this study was to assess the relationship between analytical and synthetic listening strategies. That is, whether using an analytical strategy affects one's ability to use a synthetic strategy and vice versa. Indeed, in comparing the RMS about ideal data, a strong relationship can be seen between an individual's ability to use a properly weighted analytical strategy with an evenly weighted synthetic listening strategy. The result of the two-tailed t-test also indicates that properly weighted analytical perceptual functions predict properly weighted synthetic perceptual functions. These results together strengthen the conclusion that attentional switching is related to an individual's ability to use either attentional strategy effectively. This can be seen in the graphs of the RMS about ideal in the analytical task against the RMS about ideal in the synthetic task on the following slide. More ideally weighted analytical functions are usually accompanied here by more ideally weighted synthetic functions. On this graph of RMS about ideal, smaller values means closer to that of an ideal observer. In general, these findings can be used to further our understanding of attention and attentional strategies, particularly in domain general attentional models, such as models of executive function. Many such models treat executive function as a kind of computation that calls on different aspects of cognition to perform different functions. With the understanding that attentional switching is separate from either given mode of attention, this may allow further research into the extent to which attentional switching taxes the resources of executive functioning, or the degree to which individuals may switch attentional strategies, the speed at which they're able to, or the effect that this has on other modules under the control of executive functioning. Future research may also seek to explore how attentional switching and the degree of perceptual weighting in auditory tasks correlates with other related functions of executive functioning, such as effortful control, planning, working memory, and other such functions. Future investigators may also wish to see if the same results here are to be found in other sensory domains, such as visual attention. In general, the results that we found support the original hypothesis that performance on an analytical task, as performance on an analytical task improves, so will performance on synthetic listening tasks.